Yeah, don't get me started on taxes. It's just,
No, don't get Luke started on taxes ever. Never mention the word taxes.
Or accounting, or payroll.
We're done with that. We're over accounting.
It's like every time
over taxes.
Over all that stuff. Every time I sign payroll, I literally, Michael Appa, who's our senior accountant, I'm going through payroll, and he just sees me stop, and I turn to my notebook, and I take a little note, and it takes me forever to get through payroll. And he's like, one day he goes, well, what are you doing?
I know what you're doing.
He thinks I'm writing notes for him, like there must be something wrong with the numbers. I go, oh, no. I'm writing notes to talk to my executive team. I'm writing myself notes. Like, what is this?
Do you guys realize how much we're spending on this?
Yeah, wait a second.
We're spending on that. Yeah.
We do now.
I ran into our outside sales manager literally yesterday after I signed the payroll for our presenters out in the field. I was like, hey, we got to get that tracking done. I was like, it's my reminder. Every 2 weeks.
All right. Well, today on the podcast, we have a great guest for you. We're going to get into it in just a minute.
Yes.
But first, we're going to start off a little bit differently. If you're a financial advisor, if you're a real estate agent, if you're an attorney, you want to stick around for this podcast, for this guest. But we've been getting some reviews on the podcast recently. Normally, we talk about
Christmas morning.
It's Christmas, yeah. Normally, we talk about sending a review at the end of the podcast. But for anyone who doesn't make it all the way through, all right, we're going to tell you about that a little bit right now. So on iTunes, if you go on and rate us on iTunes, leave a comment. It really helps us not only kind of hear from you guys, but also give us a sense of what you like, what you don't like. Right now, on ReminderMedia Stay Paid podcast, we have 79 ratings. 78 are 5-star.
Woo!
Yeah, one 4-star. So we're going to pat ourselves on the back a little bit there.
Yes,
but
one of them is my mother, I hope.
I want to shout out a couple of you guys who left reviews recently. This might be your mom. I got no ID Joe is the username.
I got no. Nah, that's definitely not my mother. Nah, she's not that.
I assume he's a guy because he says Joe. So he says, as a new realtor, I found these podcasts to be very helpful and motivational. I listen to them while on the road and always choose 1 or 2 nuggets, golden nuggets, hopefully.
Yes.
From each podcast to implement. Keep them coming. Thanks, Joe, for sending that review. Another one from Dwight Realtor. Same day, July 19th, just a few days ago. Luke and Josh are great hosts. Did you hear that, Luke? Luke and Josh.
And Josh.
Yeah.
But Luke came first. Let the record show Luke came first.
I did notice that Luke came first. Yeah.
Luke and Josh are great hosts, and they have an amazing lineup of guests, including ours today, sharing a wealth of information. The underlining thread is the importance and various ways of connecting with our clients. They cover a wide variety of topics that can be implemented in many industries. I'm going on 30 years in my real estate career, and these podcasts have got me re-energized. Thank you.
Woo!
Thank you, Dwight Realtor. So that's a new realtor and a realtor with 30 years
Dwight from The Office. I'm just kidding.
A little bit of everybody here on Stay Paid Podcast. But today on the podcast, we have Brad Swineheart. Brad Swineheart is the VP of Business Development for White Glove. He has helped grow the client success team there at White Glove from 12 employees to now over 50 highly trained seminar coaches and account managers, guiding the team that is working with over 1,500 advisors who have completed over 10,000 seminars, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. White Glove's Done For You seminars. Now in his primary role, Brad is overseeing creating strategic partnerships with financial institutions all across the U.S. and our northern neighbors, Canada. Meeting with the decision makers and C-level executives at financial firms and other professional service companies to build relationships on behalf of White Glove. Brad, and welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, Brad.
I hear that Luke is a great host. So I'm excited to chat.
Dude, this is awesome. Hey, leave a review afterwards. Leave a review.
Yeah, I will. I'll text my mom too.
Just make sure it's 2 5-star reviews. Hey man, we're excited to have you on. Guys, for you who don't know about White Glove, you need to know, especially if you are a financial advisor, a real estate agent. Are you guys doing attorneys yet? Are you guys helping attorneys?
We are.
Okay.
We are, yeah. It's estate planning has taken off.
Yeah, so
it's going to be our next.
You got to listen up.
Ticket.
Seminars are a really, really good and I think underused or underutilized, especially in the real estate world, way to generate leads. And these guys have a very, I call it gutsy kind of take on it because they take on all the risks. That's the thing that impressed me the most when we met White Glove is that they really took to heart Tony Robbins. He talks about creating an irresistible offer. And when I first met them, they talked about this irresistible offer. And their irresistible offer literally is they're going to allow you to try a seminar and they'll take every bit of the risk on. And not only will they take the risk on, they'll guarantee it. So I hope I've intrigued you a little bit, because you're about to hear a way to generate leads in your business. Try it with no risk. So you're going to learn about it. You can try it with no risk, and they're going to guarantee.
And wait, there's more.
There's more. They're going to guarantee your success. So before we go there and you kind of walk them through what this whole spiel of seminars are, why should people even be using seminars for those who don't know, who are maybe newer to the business, even what a seminar is for their industry.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about kind of your journey, man. I'm just curious, now you're the VP of Business Development, but walk us through kind of how you got into with White Glove, your journey that's brought you up to today. Why are you passionate about it? Why are you traveling all over the country to convince business owners to do seminars?
Awesome. Hey, well, absolutely. Thanks for having me on here, share my story a little bit. I come from more of a sales management background. I crack skulls and make sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing and try to keep those salespeople in line. And anybody's ever run a business before, they know it's sometimes like herding squirrels, trying to get salespeople to do what you want them to do. And that's really my background is really in that sales management. And I kind of left a retail establishment with 600 employees, came right to the basement of a financial advisor firm with 12 salespeople, and kind of took that leap because I was just so excited about what they had going on. And the business model was just crazy, unheard of. And at the end of the day, what they provide, not only to clients, but to the end user is amazing. And I think that passion is what led me to just dive into this business, learn all the ins and outs and how to be successful with it. And has pushed me into the position that I'm in today. Seminars in their ideology are to help a business professional gain credibility and gain that all-important connection with a lead, a prospect, to turn it into a client. With any marketing effort you ever make, the whole reason you put money into marketing, efforts into marketing, is to gain that connection. And with seminars, you're standing in front of a group full of people that are eager to hear about a topic, and you're educating them on that topic. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind that is the fastest way to gain credibility and to gain that connection. So with White Glove, we walked into this system, and it just is exploded and has taken the industry by storm. And it's, Luke alluded to it, it's all risk-free, but essentially what we did is we took this old model of seminars. Was always these pain points, right? That you had to learn a topic, you had to pick out what marketing is going to work the best, and how's my area going to perform. And then you went to the mail house and you bought a bunch of postcards and hoped that the post office would deliver them, and then found a venue, booked that thing, and then you stood there the day of the event and hands are sweating. You're worried that, oh man, I just spent all this money. I just spent thousands of dollars and I'm standing here looking nice and there's an empty room.
3 people,
is anybody going to show up, right? Is anybody going to show up? Or is all that marketing money I just blew, is that just a big waste?
Yeah.
What happens if there's weather? What happens if there's a big pileup out on 94? And that advisor or realtor or attorney, they're standing in front of that room and they're worried about that, because that is just a huge risk that they're taking. So White Glove's first, light bulb that went off is, hey, what if a marketing company, what if a seminar company took that risk on themselves? Mm-hmm. And that's our first golden nugget, or I don't know if I'm using that term correctly.
Dude, every time you use golden nugget, I make $5. So just feel free to say it all podcast long.
All right. So we had this golden nugget of an idea that, hey, we need a company that takes that risk, that gets paid on performance, just like an advisor does or a realtor does. They get paid on performance. So why is the marketing companies getting their money up front? So we flipped that industry on its head, and we said, you know what? You're not going to pay us on our efforts. You're going to pay us on our results. So that was our first step, and you're 100% right. We wanted to come up with an irresistible offer. Our first step was let's take that risk on. Let's not charge anybody anything until after the event, and let's charge them based on actual attendance. Right there, I mean, we can drop the mic, we can walk out,
right.
Show's over. I mean, we're the only people in the industry that do that still. But we thought, well, heck, how do you make that even better? And really that any business professional, whether it's an advisor, an attorney, or a realtor, they got into that business to work with clients. They got into that business to do that business. They absolutely did not decide one day to wake up and be an event planner,
right?
To research libraries, to find out the best traffic patterns, to avoid bridges when they're booking a venue, right? To design mailers. Nobody got into the financial world or any of those other spaces and said, you know what, I'd really love to be an event planner. That's where my passion is. And to be honest, it's awful. Planning a seminar is terrible. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of.
So you're not on the operations side,
right? It's a lot of calling libraries, having them say, no, we don't want you in here, and then you have to call another library or community center, or making sure that the date's right on the mailer. You don't send something out for February 35th, right? All that stuff, just those details, that minutia, that back end, that someone registers. Now what? Right. Do you hit them with an email, a text message, a phone call? What do you do? We decided, let's just do it all. Let's just have a service that does absolutely everything, so the professional can just go back to their day job, so they can do what they do best. And now they don't have to be an event planner. They don't have to be a marketing expert. We have a giant team of all of those people that's what they do every single day, day in and day out, and they're going to be the best at it than anybody else. So we just come up with these two ideas, right? Let's take all the risk. Oh, well, hey, let's do all the work. This right now you're thinking, oh, well, I got to pick that mic back up again so I can drop it, right? And then I don't know if it was Zine or Mike, one of the co-founders. They're both financial advisors. They said, well, how do we make it better? And at the end of the day, if someone doesn't write business off a seminar, I mean, one, it's probably their fault. Let's just be honest.
They just stink at presenting. Yeah.
But it's still a wasted marketing effort.
Right.
So what White Glove did is it said, you know what? Meet this criteria, invest in our system, go through our training. If you don't pick up a client, we're going to give you another seminar for free.
That's amazing, man.
At that point, I don't know anybody in the industry that can compete with what we got going on. And me being, a little bit of a different background, seeing that service presented, it's hard not to get passionate about it. It's hard not to just dive right in and say, oh man, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because we're not only helping the business professional, but you do a seminar, what are you doing? You're educating your community, on some very important topics. And now, if they become a client or not, there's thousands upon thousands of people that have been educated because of the seminars that we've put on for people. On top of the business professionals seeing great success, the general public and the people that attend these seminars are getting this unbelievably great knowledge, absolutely for free, that they can come and attend these events. So it's a no-brainer. Everybody wins.
How does the client come up with the content? Like, are they providing the content they present on? Is that something you do? Like, one of the first things I would think of if I'm listening to this is, okay, you guys are obviously getting the venue for me. You're helping me get the people to come to the venue. Do they come up with the presentation themselves? Do most of your clients come up with the presentation, or do you guys provide it? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's about half and half. What we will do is we will market the event, and it'll have a general topic, maybe Social Security, maybe taxes and retirement, maybe first-time home buying. And either the professional will come to us with content that they are already familiar with, that they've gotten from their broker-dealer, for example, and we'll just vet it. We'll make sure that it matches our marketing message, and then they can use their own. If a professional doesn't have content, then we have strategic partners that create all that stuff that gets FINRA reviewed and all of, goes through all the compliance, and they handle all that that stuff for us. And we have partnerships with a variety of experts in that field, and we'll just point them to pick up some content there. And usually it comes with a pretty significant discount if it's coming from White Gloves.
So I'm curious, like, you guys will book the venue. You'll get the butts in the seat. You'll make sure people show up. You'll give them the content present if they don't have it. Do you coach them on actually presenting? Like, if they're terrible public speakers, do you guys coach them on presenting, or do they?
Well, I don't know that you'd be able to do it. Like, we probably wouldn't work with you, but I mean, Josh over here,
I'd have a
probably
great
help
shot.
him out.
Yeah.
But you guys will give tips to your clients on public speaking and stuff like that, or?
Yeah. So right now we're doing about 600 to 700 events every single month all across the U.S. and Canada. So each one of our account executives, many of which have been with us since we started for 4 years, they all go through training with a professional seminar coach. They all get trained directly from the founders who are financial advisors who do seminars. On top of that, they are consistently talking to presenters in the trenches. So they're hearing what works great, what is terrible, what absolutely not to do because you got terrible reactions. So anytime a professional is working with White Glove, they will get access to an account executive. And these guys are absolutely just phenomenal.
Awesome.
Day and night. I like to call them on weekends and holidays. They're always on their phone. I mean, they're
Well, I would
always
imagine,
available.
like, one of the things that holds people back when they're thinking of doing a seminar would be the fear of public speaking, right? That you fear it more than dying is what they say. I don't know if that's
You would
true.
rather be in the coffin at your funeral than be giving the eulogy at a funeral.
Dude, I've never thought about it that way.
People are more scared of speaking in public than they are of death.
But you guys will actually coach them. So I'm curious, like, if you're doing all that, like, what's the number one reason why people aren't doing seminars? Like, to me, it's like, I don't know what there is to lose. And I'm just curious of, like, what you have found in talking to the real estate agents out there, talking to the financial advisors. Like, what's the pain point that's holding them back? Is it the education that they don't understand what seminars are? Because it is not a common lead generation strategy that's talked about in the real estate world. I know it's really big in the finance world, and it's been that way for a while. But what do you find? What is holding people back from trying seminars? Where are the pain points there?
I think the biggest pain point for in the real estate world of people just latching on to seminars and realizing it's such a great tool is just what you said, that it's not in their culture. They have other sales methodologies that they're totally used to. And when you say seminars, it's almost like, well, what do you mean? Why would I stand in front of a room and teach people on something? But
right.
Like, it's not a natural, oh, hey, this is something that I should do. And I think the biggest selling point when we talk to someone in real estate or even some of the attorneys that we talk to, we really have to pivot. Instead of, you talk to a financial advisor, you say, hey, we're going to take all of this pain off your plate, all the risk. They say, absolutely, sign me up. When you talk to one of the other professionals, you really have to explain to them that credibility they gain by standing in front of an audience and educating them. That connection, it's not ingrained in that culture. So that connection, they don't know how powerful it can be. I was sitting down with a gentleman just last week, and he told me that he used to do seminars. He used to be an advisor. He's moved on. He's doing other things. And he said 5 years after he gave a seminar, someone stalked him on Facebook, reached out to him and said, hey, you were that guy that did a seminar at this community college, right? And he was like, yeah, that was me. And he was like, great. I am ready to do all my investing now. How can we connect?
Wow.
5 years later. That's how powerful that connection is when you stand in front of an audience and say, hey, I'm here, and you're not selling anything. You're just giving them value. And that person immediately sees you as an expert, a professional, and that go-to. And I think that it's just not in the culture, I think, is what we're one of the biggest pain points when we're talking to someone in the real estate field or even the attorneys. It's just not naturally in their culture. Advisors are way ahead of the game in this. They've been doing it for years. They're seeing huge success. They're writing tons of business off of it, and they understand how powerful it can be. And it's almost like this secret when it comes to other professions that, hey guys,
Correct,
this is a huge marketing tool that works amazing. And it's just kind of under the radar for a lot of people.
Well, I think there's a key point that I would make to everybody listening to this is one of the keys to seminars is it's an educational seminar. It's not a sales pitch. It's not a timeshare.
Right.
Like you're not going to get pitched a timeshare. You're not
absolutely.
inviting people to pitch them a timeshare type idea for your business.
Right.
You're educating them. So if you're a real estate agent, you had mentioned like first time home buyers and imagine, you get the mortgage rep that you use all the time to come in and talk about interest rates and talk about the difference in your payment if your interest rate is here versus here. Or, if you think about it from the standpoint of like, how do you know you have a good investment? Everybody's into investing and flipping these days. Like, how do you know when's a good investment, when's not a good investment? You're educating people on a topic that they want to come to. And from there, I'd call it, like, this is my new thing, is calling you the SME.
Yes.
The subject matter expert. You got to be the SME of your industry.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to make people go, who's the authority on this subject matter? Like, who's the authority on, astrophysics? Like, who's the authority on theology and philosophy, right? And there's names probably popping into your head of people you think of. And, it's the same in real estate. If I say real estate right now, who do you think of as the authority on that subject matter? And you better hope, if you're in real estate and your community, people are thinking of your name, and a seminar is a way to do that. I'm also thinking from a marketing standpoint, not only do you get to educate the people who are coming, you get to follow up with those people. I bet you anything, you could film your presentation, splice that up into content to use on your social media. Now you're giving yourself a basically content creation to use in your drip campaigns and your nurture campaigns, and it paints you again as this value-driven business versus a transactional-based business. So just wanted to make sure I pointed that out, that it's educational, it's not sales. Though you want to close, like you're doing it so you can ultimately close,
right?
But it's educational. So answer this.
Absolutely. Lead with value.
Correct. Right? So in advice for starting out and doing a seminar for people, right? So they're sold on the idea that's something they want to try. What are the things they have to think of? What do they have to prepare for? What are the things they're going to have to think about from a tip standpoint that you could give them so they can execute well on a seminar that they do? Because even if they choose to do it, they're still going to have to execute it well. Everything takes good execution. It's not like you guys can do 99% of it, but they still have to execute. They still have to do the public speaking. They have to do all those things. What are some of the tips you would give?
Yeah, so there's a couple of key points when you're giving a seminar that you absolutely just have to nail in order to have a successful seminar. And we'll walk them through if they sign up. We'll help them with all of this. We'll help them in development. We actually have a professional seminar coach on call that anybody that works with us gets a free one-on-one consultation with this guy. They record their presentation. He will walk through a deep dive with them and help them hone all of their skills. And he's going to say a couple of the things that I'll tell you right now.
Is this guy Frank? Are you talking about Frank Maselli?
Frank?
Dude.
Oh, I am absolutely
guys,
talking about Frank.
the audience, listen, this guy is a freaking beast.
He's awesome.
He's guy,
awesome to watch.
I heard him speak one time. I was just like freaking trying to take notes. This guy is unbelievable. I think we're going to do a webinar, aren't we?
Taking notes like this, right?
Yeah, it's like unbelievable. Yeah, he speaks, like crazy. That means he's very, very captivating. I've really rarely heard speakers, besides really big speakers like Tony Robbins.
He's someone that you can
stuff.
watch and just learn how to speak from watching him speak.
Yeah,
like
so
regardless of all the value and content he'll give you, you can just watch him and be like, I want to be like that.
So Frank is also. I think we're going to do a webinar.
We're doing a webinar with him. I don't know if it's going to come out.
I have no
after this
idea
podcast.
of dates or anything. Yeah,
It'll be. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, we will. We'll put it in show notes. But anyway, so
Frank,
give us some of the tips.
Frank actually did live seminars back in the day. He was a producer. He had 3,000 or 4,000 of them. He used to say that he got 110% appointment request rate, meaning everybody in the audience would request an appointment, and then he'd get a call the next day, and hey, this is Joe. I wasn't at the event, but my buddy was there, and he said I need to call you. That's how powerful seminars can be when you really hone your skills. So, a couple of things that you absolutely need to do if you're going to host a seminar, whether it's with us or all on your own, whatever, is the first thing that people think they need to do is get up on stage and introduce themselves and talk about who they are and what they do and kind of brag up on themselves a little bit, or they might have somebody introduce them and say all these accolades of how great that person is. And at the end of the day, just my suggestion, check that ego just a little bit and don't worry about that, because the people in the audience, you haven't earned that right yet to impress them. So when you first open a seminar, whether you call it a power opening or cold opening or flashbang opening, open with something that gets them to engage and gets them to lean in like, oh man, this is going to be good. What's this guy going to talk about? Right? If you walk out there and I'm Luke Acree, I've been president of ReminderMedia for blah, 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 blah.
Dude, that's my intro. You're killing my intro, Brad.
Back, right? Arms crossed, I think.
I'm leaning forward right now.
I know you're Luke. It says so on the paper in front of me. You're telling me things I already know, right? So just ditch that. Don't do that. The common pleasantry.
That's a great point.
They're a waste of time. Get to that later. Tell them who you are. Don't open with that, right? You got one chance to make a great impression, and use that with a story, some sort of very emotional opening. One thing that if you're giving a seminar, that you should always do is talk about your why. Why on earth are you in this business? Why are you passionate about what you do? What drives you? Your ultimate why story. Share that with the audience. If you stand up there and say, hey, I'm here to make money, well, yeah, you just lost them. But if you say, hey, you know what? I've done this, X, Y, and Z. I helped somebody do this, and this, and that's what I'm passionate about, and that's what I'm here to do today to help you guys navigate this tricky system of buying and flipping a house and knowing what to look at so you don't get, saddled with a poor investment that ends up ruining, not just your life, but your family's life or whatever. But explain to them why you do what you do and what you're really passionate about. Everybody likes money, but that's not what drives people. What drives people is that passion to do what they do. Because you can make money doing anything. Right? But you picked a specific industry because you're passionate about it for a very specific reason. So figure that out and share that with your attendees at your seminar. So those two things absolutely always incorporate. And then the final thing I'll say about doing a seminar is once you've packed them full of knowledge and you're wrapping up at the end, first, don't end on a question and answer. Everybody does that. Just don't, because now you're letting somebody in the audience dictate the last thing people hear before they walk out of the room. So you're going to let the one guy send out a very tiny, minute thing that only applies to him, and now the other 20 people in the room think, oh, that doesn't apply to me. They've already cooled down. The lead's getting colder as they're getting up and walking out the door. So have a question and answer, but do it earlier in the seminar. At the end with something very clear, concise, a reason for that person to meet with you, a reason that person needs to talk to you, and don't beat around the bush of saying, thanks for coming, have a great, just give them a very clear reason, a power close that the seminar's over, you've got some great information, your specific situation is going to be different, come meet with me and I will do X, Y, and Z. And just set that out, make sure you say that at the end of your seminar. So throw that question and answer a little bit before that. And make sure that you're not letting an attendee dictate the last thing in everybody's mind.
So ultimately, you're at the end of this, you are pulling it back towards the appointment, right? Your goal with the seminar is to schedule appointments with those attendees.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So you're using that seminar as value. And now after that hour, that 90 minutes, you've shown yourself as credible. You've shown yourself as being an educator. And then, at the end of that, you're saying, you know what? Your specific situation is going to be different. Come meet with me and we'll analyze that. We'll go through that. We'll look into your specific situation, and we can help you out in these examples.
What's interesting is that I always tell people if you have some type of emotional reason of why you got into the business, i.e. you have a story that, like, you're a real estate agent and you went through the home buying process and you got screwed. Share that story. Like, open up with that story. If if your mom got screwed in her investment, or whatever it is, like, open up with those stories, because the emotional, it's like people don't buy on logic, they buy on emotion. And people also don't connect with you on logic. They connect with you on emotion. They connect with you on this. Like, you're searching for, like, Tony Robbins calls it, like, rapport. And rapport is like this harmonious relationship that you're trying to get into. And one of the real tactics to get into rapport with people is to build camaraderie. And how do you build camaraderie? It's by sharing experiences with people that they can relate to. Mm-hmm. And so when you're thinking about planning, and this is good for even, like, that's great advice for even, like, your listing presentations and stuff. It's like, don't walk into the living room for your listing presentation if you're a real estate agent and start with all your accolades. Like, I love the idea was telling the story of why you got into this business and connecting it. If you have an emotional one, now obviously don't make one up. So if you don't have an emotional one, tell it. Yeah, I was 11 years old trying to buy my first home. No, but it's like, if you have a story, connecting emotionally is so powerful. So, Brad, tell the audience kind of where, because, I want them to take advantage of White Glove. I believe in White Glove so much. So it's White Glove. If you guys can't tell, meaning, like, I wanted Brad to come on this podcast. I believe in this company so much. I've seen so many of the testimonials. I've gotten to know these guys. These guys are super genuine guys. And at the end of the day, it's a no freaking brainer to try a seminar. Yeah. It literally is no risk to you to try this. And I think there's an untapped market, especially for all the real estate agents out there. I think it's just untapped. Think of the top producers in your industry right now, or your area. Are they doing seminars? Yeah. And where I connect seminars in the real estate market, and this, it might be a little bit of stretch for people, but follow along here, is open houses. Mm-hmm. You have people coming in, like, what's one of the best ways to generate leads in real estate is open houses. So when you start out in real estate, you go and you host an open house. If you don't have a listing, you go and host it for the top producer, because there's people coming and they're searching for the education of what you have. They're searching for homes. They want to see what's on the market. Seminars could be literally like an open house for you. And these guys can actually get the people to come. Right. All you have to do is show up. So tell people where they can find you and where they can learn more about White Glove, how they can try one of these risk-free seminars.
Yeah, absolutely. Easiest way, whiteglove.com. We like to keep it simple. You can hop on there, fill out a lead form, and it just tell them you heard about us on the podcast here. And absolutely, we got a little chat function on there. We try to be as quick to respond as possible. And just, you can come stalk me on social media and reach out to me too. I'm always willing to talk to people and give a little bit more tips, advice, insight, anything. So absolutely.
Can I also ask you why the name White Glove?
White Glove service, as in we do absolutely all of the work. We take all of the risk. Right? Like the old butlers wearing the white gloves where they do absolutely everything.
Your personal seminar butler. That's it.
Brad is my personal butler now.
Yeah.
Brad is
my communications director cringe when you said that. She just sees that just plastered on our website.
No, I actually think it's an incredible name. That's why I wanted you to explain it, because I think it is truly what you guys are doing. I actually walked away. The first time I met these guys, I want to share the story because I think it's really relevant and a testament to who they are as a business. First time I met these guys, and we went out and did a pitch together at an annuities firm. And hearing their pitch made me come home to my own company and go, man, how do we go that irresistible for our clients? Like, it made me as a business owner go, man, how do I create an irresistible offer? Because their offer is just so good, makes me feel bad about my offer. And so that's just a testament to what you guys are doing at White Glove, and you're producing. You guys are growing like crazy. It's unbelievable. I think you just won an award, right, for one of the companies to look out for in Michigan, right? I saw that picture on LinkedIn.
Like that. There's so many awards now.
Oh my God, so many.
Now the accolades come out. Now the accolades. He's already shared his story. Now he can give his accolades.
At the end, that's fine. Right at the end, that's cool. I already built my credibility.
Dude, Brad,
I love it.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for being here, explaining that to the audience. We appreciate you coming on and doing that. Thank you all so much for listening. If you liked what you heard today here on Stay Paid, as mentioned in the beginning of the show, please go onto iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. Make sure to leave a comment. Also, share this podcast with a friend. It really helps us get the word out. You can find our podcast in video on staypaidpodcast.com. And you can get a hold of me or Luke by emailing us at podcast@remindermedia.com, or you can find us on Instagram. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. And of course, you can check out Reminder Media on social media. We're going to put together a great irresistible offer right after this podcast for you guys. We are at Reminder Media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. And you can find all of the resources, all of the links that Brad talked about that we mentioned in the show notes of this episode. For this episode of Stay Paid, I am Joshua Stike.
And I'm Luke Acree. Guys, the action item is really easy, but I think there is truly an untapped market in seminars. I think in the real estate business, I would say in attorneys out there, in the financial services business, this is something you guys know. This is something that's proven, that works. I think White Glove is the best company out there that you should take advantage of, because not only have they mastered, obviously, the irresistible offer, but the way they go about getting people in the seats is truly some of their secret sauce. So they're actually getting people in the seats and they're not wasting money for you. But as a real estate agent right now, try a first-time home buyer seminar, or try just a seminar on what your home is worth. Think about what a popular thing that you do when you go door knock. You go and ask for, hey, would you like a free CMA of your home? Would you like to know what your home is worth? Because we have a lot of homes in this neighborhood. Think about your farm. We just did a farming webinar where we talk about how you're nurturing this farm of 1,000 homes. Imagine going after that same farm to invite them to a seminar where you talk about how to value your home, and then it's a perfect way for you to get an appointment at the end because, hey, your home is specific. I can run your specific numbers for you if you would want to and give you a free CMA of your home. So reach out to White Glove. That's the action item for this podcast. I believe in these guys 100%. So check it out, whiteglove.com. Remember, the difference between a top producer and a mediocre producer in every business is top producers take action. So take action on that today.